the agenda and keep everything moving along quickly and orderly. Madam Secretary, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ballantyne from Mandeville.
Here.
Mrs. Thomas from Mandeville.
Present.
Mr. Daly from Covington. Mr. Blosh from Mandeville. Mr. Spees from Lacombe.
Here.
And Mr. Swindell from Covington.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Do I have to recognize Mr. Swindell, or is he a member now?
No, you recognize it.
I'm going to recognize Mr. Swindell as a voting member today. Mr. Swindell to my left will be voting on cases today as an alternate member of this board. We need to approve the minutes from the June meeting, and there is one error, or maybe there are multiple errors, but at the top of page 1 of the minutes, I was here and I chaired the meeting. So I would like the minutes to reflect that.
And I've already amended, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other changes to the minutes or any comments?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That's incorrect, actually. The motion was denied, and I amended that as well. I already amended it in the minutes. That was incorrect. Yeah. It should have said motion denied. Yeah, and I changed it in the minutes. Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments on the minutes? I'll entertain a motion.
Accept.
Motion by Mr. Spees, and a second.
Second.
Got a couple of seconds. All in favor, vote with your vote with your screen.
My screen is not working.
There it is.
Mine is not.
Okay, our first case this afternoon.
Just a moment. We have some issues with the,
Oh, okay.
because you were marked as attending. No, we need to make sure it works. It's still not on? Well, I'm going to shut the system down, and I'm going to restart it.
Uh-oh. I got mine.
Coming up now? Nothing? Let's see. No, nothing still? So I just changed
Did you have
this,
it going to the display?
yeah, I changed the. That's what I did.
So that's what you're just trying to fix, is their sitting chart?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, so you're good to go? Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't think they have it turned on right now.
Try it now. Try it now.
Hello.
Okay.
We're good to go?
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay. We'll get started now with case number 1 for this afternoon. This is BOA case number 2874. Request by an applicant in A4 single-family residential zoning district to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 10 feet and on the required rear yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet to allow for the placement of a manufactured home. The property is located at 36383 Edward Street in Slidell, Louisiana. The applicant representative is Letitia Foster. Staff comments, please.
Yes, this was in front of you, this was in front of you last month, and Mrs. Foster requested to postpone her case. She resubmitted a revised plan. As you can see, I just distributed a copy today, reducing the size to 14 by 60. Mrs. Foster, I don't see her here right now. And maybe we'll have to just postpone this case a little bit just to give her a little bit more time. She was supposed to be here.
Letitia Foster, she's not here?
She,
Um,
I know she tried to
Could-
call me a few minutes before the meeting.
Can I speak?
I'd like to recognize Mr. Swindell.
I mean, but before we postpone, in the documents that were provided last week to us, it was 66 feet. So it looks like now she's gone down to 60 feet, but she would still need a variance, right? Even at 60 feet.
Yes, a small variance in the rear, that's correct. That's pretty much the smallest mobile home that is actually available right now. I'm not aware that anything else smaller is available, but that's the smallest model that she was able to get to place on the property.
Yes, I recognize Mr. Spees.
Right next to it, or two lots away, there's another really long trail in there. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Am I looking at that right now? Okay, so somebody's already put a really exceptionally long one in there, almost like setting precedents, you know?
Well, we don't know how many lots the other person has. These lots are very, very narrow, and so many of the owners in that area have multiple lots, from 3 to 5 lots. So it would make a difference.
Yeah, well, the lot I'm looking at is number 19. It looks like it's got a big old trailing almost from the front to the back. So I'm just,
I looked at the
I'd
same
like a little
thing.
clarification from the staff on what that is. Number 19.
Yeah, unless if the owner owns parcels in the rear, I think they own more than one parcel side by side, but as far as the front and the rear, it doesn't meet the setback requirements unless if they own parcels in the rear as well.
Okay.
Mr. Swindell?
So is there a chance, is there a chance that the mobile homes that exist in this area already did not get permits to put those mobile homes in? You know, I mean, that's really the question is, did this board allow a variance prior to some of those owners? If no, then I'm not sure that we should really consider past actions from prior individuals that didn't do it in the proper way, you know, to set a precedent, as a precedent for us to rule, you know, against. I think, you know, we're charged with maintaining the ordinances that the parish has put forth from, you know, right now. That's my view anyway.
I'm not aware if the owner of the mobile home on lot 19, I don't know if they applied for a variance or not. I couldn't give you any information in that regards. There's a possibility that they own the lots in the back, maybe they don't, maybe they received a waiver.
Yeah.
I think we have people in the audience who wish to speak.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. If Ms. Foster is not here, are we going to proceed? Whether
She-
there's,
She tried to call me a little bit before the meeting. I saw a missed call. I missed her call, and I didn't get a chance to speak with her, so I don't know if she's running late or.
And we don't have to, you know, I think, as Mr. Swindell's pointing out, we're still going to be looking, you know, if we postpone it, we're still going to be looking at a,
Undersized trail,
what's that?
an oversized trail.
Yeah. We're going to be looking with the problem. So we can entertain one, since she's not here, and two, a problematic situation here. We could deny the request also.
Someone
I'll
is just
speak.
coming through here, but maybe we can hear from the
Would you, are you from that area? Would you like to, could you two come forward and comment on this?
I'm not comfortable with this at all. It's like having a trial and not having.
And please give your name and address, please.
My name is Barbara Thompson. Address is 36271 Edward Street. It's like that. I believe you may be talking about my mobile home. I had to go through everything that she's going through before I was allowed to put my mobile home there. I had to go through a lot in 2008.
So you came in front of this board to request a variance?
Years, 2008, yeah.
Okay, but you came in front of this board here?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so.
Well, see, I bought 3 properties.
Okay,
And I had a survey. After I had a survey, I had to have it resurveyed and combine it into 2 properties. So I had to go back and have it resurveyed again. And the property that you're talking about, it merges onto my property, some of it,
it's abutting your property?
yeah.
Okay,
They've
but,
already cut down trees. She haven't had a survey yet, for one. They've started cutting trees, and trees is laying on my property. And I don't
You're on
like that.
you're on lot 20. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So there's another empty lot between you and where she's shaking her head.
There's no empty lot.
What's,
Because they made me, I had 3, they made me combine it into 2 instead of 3.
oh, so
it's
that's
short.
your lot?
Right. I mean, yeah, 1, I'm sorry. This help out here, yeah.
Okay.
but you came in front of this board to apply for a variance for the rear and the front?
I believe so. That was back in 2008. I done forgot a lot, and I had an aneurysm, so
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
I did. It's true, you forget things. I had a brain aneurysm. I called it out, but they revived me because they didn't want me to leave. And I believe I did. But I went through Parish for a lot of stuff, too, because I was disabled at the time.
Okay.
So they waived a lot of things for me.
But you don't own the lots in the back?
No, that's for
Okay.
somebody else.
So she had to request a waiver of the front and the rear as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to fill out another speaker card,
I have to come back again.
no, you just need to fill out the speaker card so I can have your records.
Yes, ma'am. Give us your name and address, please.
Esther Payton. I don't live on that street, but I live at 61266 Richard Avenue, the main street that comes down. I drove her here, but it sounded like
Get closer to the
it
microphone.
sounded like you could be basically infringing on somebody else's property by approving something like that, right? But I got 8 lots where I'm at, so I don't have no problems. But That's what it would sound like. And then I'm invested in some property that's further down the street, that's closer to them. But I got 4 lots there, so I don't have no problem with that either. But it sounds like you would be fringing on someone else's property easily. Because you have to have, what, 10 feet before they, and in the back, or what? Because on 100, if on anything 100 by 100, if you put the 60 feet in there, you're taking the 10. We talking about the front and back, right? Okay. And then you got the sides. If she only have one lot and it's 25 by 100, that's gonna be tight. I'm just saying.
No, it's very close. But she's not infringing on anybody else's land, but there's just not enough room on either side, and she's only asking for the variance on the ends.
She's walking
Is that her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
But anyway,
you
she's
could.
not infringing on anybody else's
Well,
property.
not by changing it down to 60 from 80 or something. Originally, it was something was
Yeah.
80 feet, right?
The request has been changed now, so she'll meet the 25-foot setback in the front, and basically requesting to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 15 feet.
Of her lots.
Of her lot, yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay,
Well, you still gotta watch it, because it's
Thank you.
easily.
If
it's
you want to
easy.
just please fill out a speaker card, and we'll let Mrs. Foster come up front to speak, and then you'll have a chance to speak again.
Letitia Foster, are you here? We're discussing your case. Would you like to step forward, state your name and address?
Physical or
Get-
you want the land address?
Get up towards the telephone.
You want my physical address? Or,
I want your address and your name.
okay, 26183 East Birch Street, Lacombe, Louisiana. Letitia Foster.
What would you like to add about your request?
No, I don't really have nothing to say. I
So
don't have nothing to say.
basically, you're requesting to change it to place a mobile home that is now 14 by
Yes, it's a
60.
14 by 60.
Okay, so you'll be 25 feet from the front
Yes.
and then 15 from the rear instead of 20, correct?
Mhm.
So 100 feet, the property is 100 foot deep, minus 60, we get to 40, minus 25 in the front, which is the minimum. And then in the rear, she's required to provide 20 feet, so now she's requesting in the rear to go from 20 to 15.
And it's 14, and the thing's 25 feet, so she's got 11 feet. So she'll have 5 feet on either side of the mobile home.
The property is 25 foot wide, so it's a 5-foot setback on each side, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll recognize myself. I have a question. Have you already purchased the trailer?
Yes, it's in the process, yes,
It's in the process.
yes. Because they have to take the money that was off the other trailer and put it on that one. So the 16 by 80, I had money on it, and they have to transfer it to the other one.
Okay. Let me see if is there anyone here that would like to speak on this case in opposition or in favor? Seeing none, any other comments or questions from the board?
Did the ladies, did you ask the ladies if they wanted to say anything else?
Oh, yes. Would you like to comment further?
Thank you. appreciate
Please
it.
step forward and
That's Ms. Foster. Ms. Foster says she needs a 3-bedroom home because she has 2 daughters and each one wants their own bedroom. Right now, she lives in a 2-bedroom. It's a large property, but it's too much for her to keep up, so she's gonna need something big enough for her and her 2 daughters to have a bedroom. If she gets something smaller, then her daughters won't have their own bedroom.
Well, now she's requesting a mobile home that is 14 by 60.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work either.
Well,
Because I have one that sits on the front of me on Richard. And she'll be between them 2 mobile homes. Mine and the one on Richard Street, mine on Edward, and the other one in the front on Richard.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for anyone? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Anybody interested in making a motion?
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve the variance of, as requested with the 60-foot, Helen, with the 25 feet in the front and essentially reducing the rear setback by 5 feet.
I second.
So I have a motion to approve and a second. Any other discussion?
We have 3 yeas and 1 nay. Motion failed.
The motion failed. Thank you. We'll proceed to the next case. The next case is BOA case number 2933. Request by applicant in a planned unit development overlay to reduce the required above-ground pool rear yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. Property is located at 612 Pond Court in Covington, Louisiana. The applicant and representative is Jerry Boudreau. Staff comments, please.
The objective of the request is to allow for the reduction of the required rear yard setback to 5 feet to allow for the placement of an above-ground pool within the southwest portion of the property. While the property is abutting a 60-foot green space, the requested variance is a personal preference rather than a property hardship.
Is Mr. Boudreau, are you here? Please step forward, state your name and your address, and make any comments you'd like to have about this request.
I'm Jerry Boudreau. I live at 612 Pond Court. That's in Covington, in the Pinmill Lakes neighborhood. And I based off of the size of the pool and the shape of my yard and the setback of my house, I just don't have the room. So that's why I am trying to seek a variance from 10 to 5 based on there's nothing behind my house. There's drainage on both sides, back and side of where the pool would be going. And that's about it. I did receive approval from the HOA on the pool. I submitted the same stuff that I submitted for this variance and the original permit.
Does the staff have that approval?
No, I just received it.
Can you bring that to, so the staff has it? I have some questions. I have 2 questions. I'm gonna recognize myself. I got 2 questions. Number 1, right there, there's an imprint in your lawn, a circular imprint in your lawn right there. What is that?
That was a pool years ago, the same size. It was installed by me. It was one of those skeleton type frame pools. So I had it. It went bad. I drained it. Put another one up. It went bad. Drained it. So now I'm just tired of having to erect a cheap pool. I'm seeking for something installed by professionals.
That's one question. The second question is, as you're facing your house, you got a next door neighbor over here. He's got one. I mean, what is that in his yard?
What do you mean? What is what?
There's a pool or something. There's above.
Yeah, he has an above ground pool.
You're doing something similar.
Yeah, similar, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll recognize Mr. Spees.
You mentioned a different type of above-ground pool. What construction is that gonna be that you're proposing?
It's an above-ground pool. It's something that will last longer. It won't deteriorate.
Is the plastic different?
No, it's going from like a Walmart style pool to a Clearwater pool, a pool company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other, wait a minute, is there anyone here in opposition to, this request? Did we do staff comments? Oh, okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion. Can I do that?
No.
Yes, I can.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Swindell, seconded. Any other discussion by the board? If none, vote with your screen.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Motion carried unanimously. Mr. Boudreau, thank you.
Thank you. Where would I get the permit?
You contact the staff. They'll take good care of you, I promise.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our third case for this afternoon is BOA case number 2940, request by applicant in the A1 Suburban Zoning District for a waiver of the required pond setbacks. This property is located into Coogee Road in Covington, Louisiana. The applicants are the Lionel Ingram Family Trust, Michael A. Dugas, and Coogee Vision LLC, Herman Cron, and representative is John Dublin. Staff comments, please.
The objective of the request is for a waiver of the 25-foot setback from the property line for an existing pond which is crossing the property line. As shown on the attached survey, there's an existing residence on parcel B and a residence will be constructed on parcel B2. While there's no objection to the request, a maintenance agreement of the pond shall be provided since the pond will be sitting on the two parcels.
Please state your name and address.
John Dublin, 9631 Wildwood Drive, River Ridge, Louisiana, 70123.
What would you like to add about this case?
Just that it's an inherited problem. One piece of property was mortgaged and then repossessed and sold off at a sheriff's auction and purchased by Mr. Cron, and I'm purchasing the other piece. So it's something that exists. It was never formally divided, but we agreed to enter into a maintenance agreement if necessary. One question is, could we fill it in if we wanted to? And just want to make sure we're not limited by the maintenance agreement.
Well, I'm going to recognize myself to ask a question. What is the status of the maintenance agreement?
We haven't put it together yet, but we're waiting on some guidelines from the staff, and we'll enter into that.
Yeah, we'll provide some information and then, make sure that it's done correctly.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Yes, I'll recognize Mr. Spees.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed the property line goes right through the middle of the pond. Is that the problem you have with the pond?
Yes, sir.
All right. So does that mean somebody can fill in the other half?
I don't believe either one of us have a problem with that if we do that.
Oh, really?
It's still, as you can see, I don't know which map you have in front of you, in 2011, 2014, it was 60 acres. It was split up into 5-acre parcels roughly, and one 30-acre parcel that goes right along the pond on that side. We're both new owners, so intentions are not clear really with the pond. I think we both like to keep it, but depending on what kind of headache it becomes.
Well, I hear you say that. I don't know if the staff knows that they're contemplating that, because that may be changing the whole drainage situation if you fill in the pond. But I mean, it's not
Good.
for us to decide.
If they fill in the pond, then they'll have to, contact the engineering department, and we'll have to determine if it's gonna have any issues with the drainage. But,
Yeah, we would meet any requirements necessary. It's not our plan at the moment. It's just, unfortunate that the property was split that way.
Well, this survey we're looking at is not a current survey. And you said it's all been re-subdivided, small 5-acre tracts, right?
it hasn't officially been subdivided, actually. It will be on the planning commission agenda,
Okay.
next week, yes.
The whole 60 acres was split up into, one's 30, couple are 5, one was 11, so, but this actual piece, no, that's what we're trying to do now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Anybody interested in making a motion on this case?
I'll make a motion. Based on the staff comments and what we've heard today, I would make the motion to accept the variance on BOA case 2022-2940.
Subject to the maintenance agreement?
Yes, subject to the maintenance agreement, yes.
So we have a motion by Ms. Thomas. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Swindell, second. Any other discussion or anything? Please vote with your screen.
Motion carries.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Our next case for this afternoon is our fourth case. It's BOA case number 2941, request by applicant in a planned unit development overlay to increase the maximum allowable length of an accessory building from 50 feet to 58 feet. Property is located at 368 Penn Carroll Circle, Madisonville, Louisiana. The applicant is Joseph Delio, represented by Brad Drury. Staff comments, please.
The objective of the request is to allow for the construction of an approximately 1,000 square foot accessory structure, which will be a recreation area, covered outdoor kitchen, and restroom facility. While the proposed accessory building will not exceed the maximum allowable 7.5% of the area of the lot on which the main building is situated, the proposed 50-foot length of the building could be reduced to meet the required maximum allowable length of 50 feet.
Okay, please come forward, state your name and address.
Brad
And-
Drury, 75 Oleander Court, Mandeville, Louisiana.
And what's your relationship to the,
I'm actually the builder for Mr. DeLeo, and currently there is a house under construction on the property, and we had to do some redesign of the actual accessory building, but it is a very nice pool cabana. The HOA has already approved the width of it. The depth, we had to shrink a little bit to meet all of the client's desires. And it's just the way it laid out and what he wanted in the actual pool cabana exceeded the 50-foot requirement. So we're just asking for 8 more feet. So Mr. DeLeo could get what he would like.
okay?
Yeah, the HOA has actually approved the construction of it, plot plan. I don't know if you guys have
We got
a
that.
copy of that. The only thing I was not able to procure is the 2 neighbors on the left and on the right. They were actually out of town last week. And so if it would help, I could get an authorization from those 2 folks as well. And also in the rear of his property, there are no neighbors in the rear of his property.
Okay, is there anyone here this afternoon in opposition to this request? Seeing none, any questions by the board for Mr. Drury?
I have two easy
Um,
questions.
I recognize Mr. Spees. He has a couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
What is the construction of the building gonna be?
The materials,
Yeah,
brick,
brick?
shingle roof, ridge towns.
And I'm looking at the diagram here, where do the cars go? Where do you park the cars?
It's a pool cabana.
It's in the rear
It's
yard.
It's a pool cabana in the rear yard.
Okay. So, where do the cars go?
No cars.
No cars.
There's,
It's there's the house and then the pool, and then the pool cabana sits behind it.
There's a garage attached to the house itself, but this is in the backyard.
Yes, sir.
any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Got a motion to approve it by Mr. Spees. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Thomas. Any other questions, comments? Please vote with your screen.
All in favors, motion carries.
Passed unanimously. Thank you, sir. The next case on our agenda this afternoon is case number 5, BOA case number 2942, request by an applicant in the HC2 Highway Commercial Zoning District to reduce the street side planting area from 15 feet to 11 feet. The property is located at 71363 Thelma Lane in Covington, Louisiana. The representative is Mr. Robert Hazard. Staff comments, please.
In December 2021, the board granted a variance to reduce the street planting area from 20 feet to 15 feet. And here, the objective is to request another variance to reduce from 15 to 11 feet to allow sufficient space for the access for the required parking spaces. The additional 4-foot is proposed to be constructed of permeable base system, true grid that can support vehicular traffic, but also is going to be, will allow turf to grow. There's no objection to the request since it will allow to meet the minimum required aisle width of 22 feet for the 90-degree angle parking spaces.
Please state your name and address, please, and tell me anything you'd like to say about this case.
Okay. Robert Hazard, 25 Eagle Trace, Mandeville, 70471. Yes, I came back a few months ago and you guys granted a variance. This particular piece, very small. It's bounded by 3 streets, 2 are unconstructed, and everything was going well until we were forced to put in a 4-foot walk along the building front, which reduced my parking width and/or travel lane by 4 feet. So in order to gain additional 4 feet, we're requesting that 4 feet of the planting area become dual purpose. It can be a parking space as well as allow turf to grow. This is a product that we have installed on many commercial jobs and it works very well.
Stay right there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone here in opposition to this case? Seeing none, I'll open it up to the board for questions, and I have a question. This is over there, 3rd, 4th Street, and
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. I'm driving all over. There is no 3rd. I don't know if there's no 3rd Street. But anyway, and what is there a street on the west side?
Yeah, well, just to fill you in, Riverside Drive, you're familiar with that?
Yeah.
It's just 1 block south of Riverside Drive, directly behind North Line Granite.
Right.
So it's a kind of a blighted area, and
Yeah.
that has sat vacant for as long as I can remember. And I know the neighborhood is really looking to see some improvements right there. And we have gotten a lot of the blighted cars off the street just recently, so it's moving in the right direction. So.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to recognize Mr. Swindell.
I don't have a question. I'll just make a comment.
Mm-hmm.
This This True Grid stuff, I use it at my work also, and this stuff's fantastic. I wish more people would use it. It's really good for,
Yeah.
you know, you pack it with limestone, and the water gets right through it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. Any other questions for Mr. Hazard? Seeing none, or no applicant, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
I have a motion to approve and a second from Mr. Spies. Any other comments? Anything? Please vote with your screen.
All in favor? Motion carries.
100%.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Our next case this afternoon is BOA case number 2943. Request by applicant at HC3 Highway Commercial Zoning District to reduce the side yard planting area from 15 feet down to 5 feet. Property is located at 69280 Louisiana Highway 21, Covington, Louisiana. The applicant is Chick-fil-A, Patrick Thompson, and the representative is Berger Engineering, Mr. Brian Berger. Mr. Berger, please step forward.
Would you like to hear staff comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just stay right there. Staff comments, please.
A 15-foot side buffer planting area was originally provided when the restaurant was constructed. The objective of the request is to allow for the addition of a second drive-through lane. While the second drive-through lane is not required for the operation of the restaurant, it will allow to improve access to the site and on-site circulation for the vehicle using the drive-through and the patrons choosing to park and to enter the restaurant. And it will also allow to increase the on-site vehicle stacking and improve security of the patrons visiting the restaurant.
Please state your name and address and your relation to project and anything you'd like to comment about.
Sure. My name is Brian Berger. I'm with Berger Engineering, 17103 Preston Road, Dallas, Texas. I'm the civil engineer for Chick-fil-A. Here this afternoon to request a variance to the 15-foot landscape setback. And as previously stated, we're looking to add a dual lane drive-through and increase the stacking at this location to reduce the congestion during rush hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any opposition to this case here this afternoon? Seeing none, entertain questions and comments from the board.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that we've had similar requests of this and variances, and it just makes good sense for traffic, and we have enough issues with traffic, as you know. So we have set a precedent and approved this before. It seems like that might be something we consider, since we have done that.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Any other comment? Oh, Mr. Swindell, go ahead.
Yeah, I was telling my wife over the weekend that this one was up, and she was overjoyed because she gets stuck in the traffic on 21 frequently. Anyway, what are you making any effort to, you're going to be taking out some trees. Are you making any effort to replant those or relocate? What are you doing as far as that goes?
So we did include a conceptual landscape plan, so we will come back in there in that what is remaining of the 5-foot strip and plant what we can in there and then add additional trees throughout the site.
Okay.
Mr. Spies.
I'm glad to hear that you're gonna add some trees. It seems like we're having a lot of that with commercial developments where they decide they need more parking and there goes the trees, so.
Sure.
So I'm glad to hear that you're adding.
I'm going to recognize myself. I've got a question for the staff. Has Ms. Contois, she approved this?
Yes, sir.
So it's been approved by our architectural expert with the staff?
She reviewed the plans, yes.
Yeah, good, thank you. Any other comments, or I'll entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we accept this variance, BOA case 2022-2944.
2943, isn't it?
2943.
3, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I've got jet lag.
Okay, we got a motion for approval. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Got a second by Mr. Swindell. Any other comment? Vote with your screen.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Did you fly in for this meeting?
Yes, sir, I did.
Well, thank you for professionalism, and thank you for doing that. And
My pleasure.
in
Thank
view
you.
of the weather and the delays in the flight, I hope you get home safely tonight.
I'm missing 100-degree weather for this today, so I'll take it. It's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the last case for this afternoon is BOA case 2944, request by applicant in an A1 suburban zoning district to reduce the required sides and rear no-cut buffers from 50 feet to 42 feet to allow for the placement of a fence. I can do the math, that's 8 feet. Between 50 feet and 42, we're looking at 8 feet. The property is located at 81160 Katy Lane in Bush, Louisiana. The representative is Waterhole Fort Farms, Joseph and Marianne Fritcher. Staff comments, please.
Well, this case was in front of you last month, and here we are, the owners are coming back and submitted another application, and their request is now changing with requesting a reduction from 40 to 42 feet, and the objective is still the same, to be able to install a fence along the property line.
Please state your name and address, and that you're the owner of this property.
Okay, Joseph and Marianne Fritcher. And before we start,
We live at 1250
Hesper
Hesper
Avenue,
Avenue,
Metairie,
Metairie,
Louisiana. Soon to be residents of Bush,
Just
Louisiana.
one person talk at a time.
Okay, sorry.
We're at 1250 Hesper Avenue, Metairie, Louisiana. We have the no object letters, and we have a handout for everyone on the panel.
Please bring it up.
And the time is ticking, and I'm going to run out of time.
No, you're not.
Hopefully.
I control the time right here.
Okay, thank you. This is for everyone. And that's actually, this is actually accurate, because what you had posted is not accurate.
Oh, I got it.
Okay. We have this, it's being handed out to y'all for questions afterwards. I want to read through what we propose. Y'all are going to have a copy of this with the little packet. Also with the GIS, which is the Parish Assessor's property portal, which shows the property and its relationship to its neighbors with the buffers, which is real important here.
Is everybody good? Let him continue. Please continue.
Okay. We're requesting this variance to underbrush the 8-foot perimeter adjacent to our property lines with the buffer on the west, north, and east sides of our property, so that we will be able to construct the fence on the borderlines of it. We purchased this property to be a residence, an apiary for our bees, and a haven for our family. Our intent is to develop a forest as a sanctuary for wildlife, and we plan to keep the forest canopy across the entire 31 acres of property, including the perimeter buffers, except for the 3 acres that we have cleared to house our bees, our orchards, home, and barn. When we went before Regan Contois with the planning department, she explained that our property contains the northernmost tributary to the Bogafly River, called Waterfall Cove. She indicated that we should read the St. Tammany Parish Code of Ordinances. She sent that to us. My wife and I read it, so that we would understand what we were up against before we did anything that might affect the stream or the perimeter property lines. That document refers to trees, and it defines a tree as any object of natural growth. That's a lot of BS.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That definition is what brings us here. How can you cut grass? It's a tree. And the no-cut buffer says you can't cut trees. So we're here. We spent $200 last month, came in. We're new to this. We didn't expect the feedback, the questions about cutting trees. We didn't intend to cut a tree. We didn't consider cutting a tree. But we get stuck with it, and I think that was reflective in the vote. So, with that said, while driving back, we had that epiphany, and we decided to take another shot at this. In response to having our request denied, we met with the contractor to see what was the least invasive way he could construct the fence. Even if it required more labor, we just want the fence. So he agreed to construct the fence, and I won't get into the south side because he's not going to work within the buffer. But instead of getting his work truck around the perimeter of the property, he was willing to work off of a four-wheeler pulling a narrow trailer to move the fencing materials around the perimeter, which is a whole lot less invasive than cutting a path big enough for his truck. Aside from that, we feel that by not approving this variance request to underbrush the perimeter of our property so that we can construct a border fence would cause undue hardship to us as follows. First, we've set up cameras and discovered large dogs, horses, hunters, trespassers, both adults and minors, on our unfenced property, including the buffers. We feel that this exposes undue harm to our family, especially our 3- and 5-year-old grandchildren and our pets. In fact, 3 weeks ago when we went out to inspect the buckwheat we planted for the bees, we had an altercation with the neighbor's dog. We thought they had one Great Pyrenees, but they have two. And of course, they didn't take too kindly to my son's dog, so moi had to get between them. Dogs ended up leaving, but we could have had a problem. We want to avoid that. Second, we're exposed to a potential premises liability lawsuits. Big words, you got a lawyer here. If someone is trespassing on our property because it's unfenced and unposted, and they set up a deer stand in one of our trees that's unfenced, which has happened and is there now with a camera over it, or they try to climb one of my trees with a climbing stand, and they have an accident and fall out. If we can clearly show they're a trespasser, no harm, no foul. But if they just wander onto the property because we don't have it fenced or posted, we have a problem. It means we're going to pay for a lawyer to defend ourselves because somebody, and you know the people in the neighborhood, they know who owns that property. And they know where that property line is, and they're coming on it and they're hunting. We want to avoid that. A fence combined with the appropriate signage is absolutely necessary to prevent people from wandering onto property, thereby exposing the true landowner, us, to liability. And we plan to do both. We plan to fence it, and we plan to post it with no trespassing signs. Third, we didn't know this when we bought the property, but we went to see Ms. Contois. We found out that we're very privileged. We own a small waterway. It's the northernmost tributary to the Bogafalia, and it is on our southern border. And if you look at this little area, you can't see the marking. You have it on there in front of you. But that small circle is 115 feet above sea level, the lowest part on the property. That drains south of us on the northernmost corner in the deepest portion. The mapping software that did this for us shows the property is 116 feet above sea level. So we basically have 1 foot of fall, that and that. And then it gets rather deep. Every one of those marks is in 5-foot increments. That center is a slough. Southern Louisiana, we call it a slough. It brings us to the next part. An attractive nuisance situation arises where a child, a minor, wanders onto the property and is intrigued by and goes into the slough. We have pitfalls, pits. I've fallen through the roots, almost broke my right leg, and I'm an adult. We have pictures on our game cameras with teenagers in the slough. The fourth thing is prescriptive easement. This X, that one, and that one all indicate corners of people's property or our property. We cannot get to that one. There is a briar patch. And when I say briar patch, you have never seen briars like this. Some of them, the cane, are as tall as this ceiling. They're that big around. You can't cut it with a machete. You get tore up from your elbows down. You can't. I can't get to that corner. I don't know what's there. I don't know if someone's on our property or not. I know. I would like, can I have a few more minutes? Okay. Fifth, there is another difficulty that is a physical hardship in constructing approximately a 4,700-foot linear fence without having the property underbrushed to get the materials out there with a four-wheeler and a modified narrow trailer is impossible. We're going to require 588 T-posts. Every 6.5-foot T-post is 8.13 pounds. We're talking 4,780 pounds of T-posts. We're talking 15 rolls of hog wire at 330 feet each. They weigh 192 pounds each. So we're talking 2,880 pounds of wire. Then we're talking about 4 rows of barbed wire to go on top. That's the lightest thing. Each of those 4 rows is 85 pounds, and they each go about 1,320 feet. With that said, I would like to just summarize what we want, if I can.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions from the board for Mr. or Mrs. Fritcher? I recognize Mr. Swindell.
Oh, I have a couple of questions. No, well, first a statement. Number one, I think, I voted no last month, and I did that without explanation. Really, the explanation is that I didn't feel you had done enough to minimize as much as possible the width that you were asking for. You put a lot of good arguments in front of us today, so I appreciate the work you've done to bring that back to us. So that leads to just a couple of questions. So how far from the property line do you plan on putting the fence?
On the property line.
It goes right on the property line, okay. And then what's your plan? I understand the need to clear out some space to get equipment in there and get this fence installed, and I certainly understand your desire to protect your property. What's the plan with the 8 feet after the fence is installed? And the reason why I ask, before you answer that, the reason why I ask is I serve on a public water board, and we had to do something similar a few years ago. And the engineer that built this fence for us is super particular about us not touching the trees that surround this fence line. And it bothers me to no end, but I understand it, especially now that I'm on this board, that we literally let this stuff grow right on the dang fence. And so that's why I ask you, like, what's the plan with that 8 feet going forward?
First, we're not taking out any trees.
Okay.
Can't go back to the parish definition in the ordinance. Grass is a tree, but any established trees are not coming out, period. They weren't intended our last time a month ago. We didn't expound on that, didn't think we had to. We were kind of surprised by the questions about taking out trees. In country property, where you have a tree inside of a line for a fence, the surveyors typically, if the tree favors one property, they put an X mark on the bark at face height on the side of the tree that the line of the fence goes on. And people honor that, and there's never a problem. You don't have encroachment. One tree will be on this side, one tree will be on that side. When you have a big tree, you terminate the fence and you resume on the other side. Simple. For me, I didn't expound on that because I didn't think we were going there. We only want to cut the grass, the underbrush, the briars, what prevents us from carrying the stuff in. Okay? We do have an issue. When you get to this west line, what's on this line is a utility easement and power line. And somebody went in, the power company, I don't know, I can't say that. And they cut about 16 feet on our property, took out all the trees, and you have undergrowth this tall. Then you have the horse farm, and when they clean up behind a storm and they cut up the vegetative debris, they dump it over the fence. And you can tell, I'm not going to say crap, the garbage is as wide as the bucket of a tractor. The manure is wide as the bucket of a tractor. I talked to the lady, got her non-objection letter. I said, I really would like your manure. I didn't say I don't want it dumped on my side of the fence. Oh, you can come by and get all you want. So I'm going to have manure for the garden. But that doesn't help us here. You can't walk that line. Can't walk it. My son and I tried it. You can't walk it, trust me. We went through the woods, through the swamp. We came up just on the other side of this, and you can't see it on this picture, but on the second picture that you have, okay? You see the sparse trees above that pond? Mm-hmm. You can walk in there. It's got a canopy. There's no stuff dropped in there. And you can walk that line where you see that green looking stuff.
Can I?
Yeah, that's really my question is, after you get the fence in, honestly, I'm inclined to vote in favor of this when it comes up.
Okay.
But my concern is that you're not going to keep an 8 foot of uncut going forward,
Okay, the underbrush machine is a mulching machine. It's 7 feet wide.
Sure.
It's mounted on a track vehicle. The tracks are 7.5 feet wide, and it will take everything out and reduce it to chips of wood for 7 feet.
Yeah, that's to get your fence built,
To
right?
get the fence built.
Next year, if we were to walk it next year after you put the fence in, what's it gonna look like?
Once I have a footpath with my weed whacker, every week I'm walking
right.
4,700.
No, that- you just
let me-
answered the
Let me try
question.
to,
That's
I
it.
can answer his question. In the package, Mr. Fritcher said, that is out there is thick, 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 thick. A year from now, it'll be all grown back.
No, it won't. I'm not gonna let it, the footpath by that fence is gonna be cut. I don't need, the
Oh,
rest
okay.
can grow back. I want the rest to go back. Do you think I wanna hear the donkeys hee-hawing? I want this to grow up so I don't have to hear all that.
That's what I said, didn't
Yeah.
I want the
Same, but-
privacy from my abutting neighbor. And the only way we get that is with the buffer. We want the buffer.
It will have a 2-foot.
Step up here, ma'am, please.
It probably will have a 2-foot pathway along the fence so that we can walk it.
Sure, just enough to care for the fence.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Mr. Spees, I recognize Mr. Spees.
I think
I'm
it's a
sorry.
reasonable thing that you're doing, to have a narrow path to walk on. And I will make a motion, if everybody's finished, that we go ahead and approve it.
I have one comment. Thank you for the amount of work that I know you had to do to get this to where we could understand it enough to address it. But I know how much work it took for you, and I appreciate, and I know the board does, your dedication to making this clear for us.
I appreciate that, ma'am.
We have a motion by Mr. Spees. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And a second from Ms. Thomas. Any other comment? I'll forego my question. Vote with your screen.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you. Let me ask you, you ought to see, how many horses does your neighbor have? 75?
No, what, it's only like 6 acres, and they have like 17. They've got a llama, a bull, and a cow.
And they have some
But you ought to see the horses out there.
And
He's
the
got
dogs.
Beautiful horses.
The dogs are this big. So I had to put myself between my son's pit bull and these 2 giant white dogs. And,
Well, thank you. It was unanimous. Put your fence in, please.
All right, thank
okay,
you so much.
thank y'all so much.
All right. That concludes our cases for today. Old business, I think I may have said, but I'd like the minutes to reflect that it's worthy of note there are no after-the-fact cases this month in July. Helen said we may have one in August, but I just want to point out, after all our efforts and any other old business? What do we got for new business?
If I'm not mistaken, 3 cases.
3 cases for August. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you all.